Let me paint you a picture and see if it sounds like something that you remember, or sounds like something that you can see. You're a young kid. You go with your older brother, your uncle, your dad, or whoever it is to a local hobby store. You're not there for anything in particular, or maybe you are there for Pokemon cards or Magic cards or something like that. All that matters is that you're in this local hobby store. And when you walk in, you see something that changes your life forever. It could be like me, and you walk in and you see the owner of the store and he's sitting behind his glass cabinet. And inside of that glass cabinet is the Warhammer armies that he paints and sells online. And so you get to see 2 or 3 full armies painted and sitting there. Or at the back of the room, you see these long tables and you don't know exactly what those are, but as you walk over, you realize that they are landscapes set out on these tables. And sometimes there's people at these tables with giant robots and machines and armies that are fighting. And you see this and you don't know anything else other than you want to be part of it. If that sounds like something that you experienced, stick around. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what happens if that all disappears. If you've been paying attention to some of the Games Workshop news that's coming out, and it's not something that they've announced, it's something they've kind of done behind the scenes. I can't imagine why.
Sneaky.
But they have stopped guaranteeing pre-orders to local shops. And what kind of they've done basically is that they have moved to a lottery system. So they're no longer guaranteeing that they're going to get pre-ordered merchandise to the local stores, and that it'll be randomized through a lottery system who will get what and when they get it. Now, does that mean they will get it ever? No, they're telling people right now that some of the old world stuff is going to take a year, if it comes at all. Is this a good thing? Is this going to help the average gamer who's trying to get into Warhammer? Sure. Doing this, they're keeping the majority of models and things like that for themselves. So they'll be able to fulfill orders in a way that they haven't been to up to this point. I mean, anyone who's gone online to buy things from Games Workshop has seen this. Out of stock, temporarily out of stock. And hopefully, with this change, that won't be an issue anymore. But is that a good thing?
Could it possibly be good? Could it possibly be worse?
Sure, if you're willing to pay full price for everything and willing to have them hike that price even more, yeah, I'm sure it's great. But in my mind, no, it's not. And there's 3 big reasons for that. This last weekend, I actually went to our local Warhammer store. And I took my son. He had a little leftover birthday money, and he's kind of getting into the hobby. He wanted to look around and see if there was anything that he could buy. And he didn't have a ton of money. And what that translates to is that there was nothing he could buy. Now, I want to be the first to say that this location was awesome. They brought us in, the manager shook our hands, he walked us around, he did everything that a Warhammer employee should do. And we even left with a couple free models, which my son was super happy about. But while I was walking through the store, the only thing I could think is these prices are insane. And anyone who buys Warhammer, you've heard that before. I've talked about it before. The price of Warhammer is insane. But let's be honest, the price of tabletop gaming is insane. Or at least it can be. Most tabletop games can be dumbed down. Heck, D&D can be played with a piece of paper and some dice. That's it. You don't need anything else. Most tabletop games, one-page rules, sure, we talk about them a lot because they're 3D printed models that you can play with, but they also do paper models that are free and you can download and play. They want people to play their game, and so they make it available to everyone. Games Workshop doesn't have that problem. And I hate to say it, but this reason is number 1 because Games Workshop has proven again and again and again over the last 30 years that they don't care about the customer.
They think we're crud.
They care about shareholders. They care about their bottom line. They care about making a profit. And I can't imagine that's going to get better when they take out the one force that is doing their best to get these things to us as cheaply as they can. And keep in mind, mom and pops, local game stores, they're generally not making a ton of money. They're generally making enough to get by. It's not you're going to get rich by opening a game store. I mean, ask anyone who runs a game store if that's the case. And you're going to get a lot of no, not at all. So that's why, number one, I don't think it's a good reason, because as much as they promise us that it's going to be better, they've shown us time and time again that's not the case. Number two, and this might not even be a great reason, but I just don't like how they do business, and I don't think it's going to serve them as well as it has in the past. Now, 10 years ago, Games Workshop had a lull. They weren't doing so well. They had decided to screw their customers, and their customers took notice, and a lot of other games kind of got limelight and kind of came back into focus, and sadly they couldn't hold on to it for various things that they did on their own. One of the big ones that always comes to my mind is War Machine. It had this potential to get huge, and it kind of fell by the wayside, but it's coming back. It's doing good, and it's not the only thing that's out there. One of the things that just shocked me so much was that as I was walking through the Warhammer store, Nagash, cool model. Awesome model. He really is. Age of Sigmar Nagash, $160 for one model. Okay. And then I 3D printed this just the other day from a Patreon that costs $1 a month. Witch Song Miniatures. They're awesome. Sorry, not a Patreon, a Tribes. I'm gonna make My Mini Factory for $1 a month. They give you an awesome big figure, and their quality is amazing. And what I mean with that is there is stuff out there comparable to Nagash at less than 10% the cost. So what does Games Workshop have going for it that's keeping it alive, that's keeping it going? The game itself, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's good. A lot of the time, it's not. It is not new person friendly. It has a lot of things that are just against it, and if they keep pushing away their customers, it sounds like it's about time for Games Workshop to have another lull, and hopefully somebody else, hopefully somebody else's, can push their way to the limelight, push their way to the front. And number three, this is the one that this intro of this video was based on. Warhammer is the gateway for so many games, for so many tabletop games. And the reason it is that is because when you walk into that local shop to get whatever it is you're looking for, like I said, whether it's Pokemon, Magic, some other tabletop game, Ticket to Ride, if you're looking for some board game that'll be fun, and then you look in the back and you see this other world that you didn't know existed. That's what gets people into this game. People who are like, hey, come to my local store, let's do this. Okay, with Games Workshop no longer putting their game in local stores, will that stop? No, I mean, there's always going to be Warhammer stores. But Warhammer stores only offer Warhammer, and if you don't know what it is, you're never going to walk in there by chance, like I did when I was just a little kid, like so many of you did when you were going to get something completely unrelated, and then you saw this incredible thing in the back, or this incredible thing in a display case right as you walked in, and you saw figures from your fantasy on the wall. These local shops are like a second home for a lot of these people, for a lot of you, for a lot of us. And the people you meet there become your friends for life. And it's sad to me that a company like GW wants to take this away from these little shops that are frankly barely getting by in a lot of situations. And for what? To make a little more profit for themselves? So no. Do I think this is a good thing? Absolutely not. Do I think this is going to destroy Games Workshop? No. They've got too many things going. They've got too many irons in the fire for it to ever destroy them. But is it going to hamper their growth? Seems like they're doing a lot of that on their own. Now, a lot of you might say that this won't hurt your local game shops, but the local game shops that I know of, they operate on a certain principle, right? And that is that when a new product comes in, they put old products on sale. And that way they're able to get rid of their merchandise. And the majority of local shops that sell for our hobby, Games Workshop is generally a large portion of their business. Now, are there shops that this isn't going to apply to? Yeah, of course there are. But it's going to apply to hundreds, if not thousands of shops across the world that can no longer get pre-orders. They no longer get the new product. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You can't operate a business on maybes. And so ultimately, it's going to hurt them, and it's going to hurt them a lot. If you think I'm crazy, let me know. Let me know why you think I'm crazy. But in my mind, all that this is going to do is make it harder for people that want to get into the hobby, especially those who don't even know it yet. And if you got any stories about how you got into the hobby that are similar to mine, I'd love to hear it. Who introduced you to this game, and where did they do it? Because in my mind, most of it didn't happen at a local Warhammer store. And it'll be sad to see that it's not going to happen for a lot of people because of that. Now, are they big enough to keep that momentum going without it? Maybe. But frankly, all I'm hoping for is a dip in sales that's big enough that they come back like they did 10, 15 years ago and realize that the customers are important and they do their best to listen again. This hobby is incredible because of people like us that found these shops and went in and decided to make something better. And because of the people that are running these stores, these local shops that we go to for fun. So support them. Keep them going. Give them your business. Play whatever games they're pushing. Because chances are one of those games is going to start getting big. And if it can keep going, well, let's keep it going. There's a lot more games out there that are potentially better. Do they have the background of 30 years? No. But they might have 5. They might have 10. And if they just keep going, that'll keep going too. So keep supporting your local shop, and I'll do my best to do the same. And together, we'll make the tabletop experience for us and the people that come after us a lot better. So please like, subscribe if you like the content we're putting out here. I'm still in the process of building my village. I mean, it's pink, but that'll change. And that's just one of the buildings of the entire village. It's going to be huge, and it's going to cost a lot less than a Warhammer army would. So stick around, stay tuned to see that. And as always, don't spend so much time building your world that you forget to spend some time in it. And spend some time in it with some friends. Until next time.